Welcome, everyone. Welcome back. It's been a minute, but it's worth it. You are coming back for something very special. Today's episode is the start of a 3-part series on protecting your energy. This is a topic that I'm hearing is close to many of yours hearts. How to do it. Am I worthy to do it? What will happen if I slow down, if I protect my energy? And what does that mean? And how can I do it in a sustainable, um, real long-term way versus maybe a quick fix where, I go on vacation, I come back and I'm actually more tired than when I left, right? Um, and we're going to discuss all of that today. Today, I have on Zabie Yamasaki. You might remember that she was on the podcast before with her first book, and now she has just released her second book. It's always just divine to sit with her, and you're gonna feel it. If you're listening, I'm all for the listening because you can take a walk and listen or do your other things. But I do refer to the YouTube a few times. We are going to do a practice together. So it comes at the end, I think you'll understand it through the listening to it. But if you need the visual, you can always go there. Zabie Yamasaki is an award-winning trauma-informed educator, yoga trainer, and a sought-after consultant and keynote speaker, as well as the founder of Transcending Trauma Through Yoga. Her work has been featured on, CNN, NBC, and more. Her Yoga as Healing program for survivors is implemented at several universities, including the University of California system, USC, Stanford, Yale, University of Notre Dame, and Johns Hopkins University. She's a 7-time published author, and some of her titles include Protect Your Energy, A Gentle Guide to Nurture Your Nervous System, Cultivate Rest, and Honor Your Needs, Trauma-Informed Yoga for Survivors of Sexual Assault, Practices for Healing and Teaching with Compassion, and the accompanying affirmation card deck and flip chart, and 2 children's books. That's right. I kept saying this was your second book. It's not your second book. I have your children's book, Your Joy is Beautiful. I have that one and read it to my daughter. And H is for Healing. I need to get that one. You can learn more at zabieyamasaki.com and on Instagram at Transcending Trauma with Yoga. This is such a great conversation with so many takeaways. I don't know if I want you to take notes or just feel into it. I guess you'll decide. Maybe you'll listen a couple times. I'd love to hear, as always, what you think, what you thought, what your takeaways were. So send me your thoughts. I'm at Lara Land Therapy on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. And I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you. Here we go. This episode is brought to you by My Therapy Flow. Are you a practice owner who wants more clients for you or your team? Do you wish you knew what marketing was actually working and where your clients were coming from? Therapy Flow transforms therapy practices with HIPAA-compliant marketing services and a custom CRM that tracks down and follows up with leads automatically. They've been working with therapy practices since 2018 and have helped thousands scale. Therapy Flow can help grow your practice too. If you want to delegate marketing and scale your practice, book a call. Mention Beyond Trauma for 50% off your first 3 months with the Therapy Flow CRM. Visit mytherapyflow.com to book a call or join the Flow, a weekly resource with more than 15,000 practice owners getting free practice growth advice. Here we go. She's back. I think you might be my first repeat guest, Zabie Yamasaki. I adore you. Everywhere I go in our shared spaces, I want to say this to you, try not to cry, your name comes up, and everyone who speaks your name with reverence and love. So not easy to do. in this world. Yeah.
Laura.
Yeah.
Oh,
Gotta
I'm
tell you.
touched by that.
It's the truth. It's the truth.
Thank
Your reputation is stellar, and it's a reputation is just right, that outside, but it really is a testament to the light that you shine forth in the world. It is so seen and so felt across the coast. So thank you for honoring me with your time and energy today.
getting teary, and I've not said one word.
It's just true. And and also, I'll say this, I'll just keep it pouring on, that you've been so like selflessly like supportive of me through my evolutions and my work, and I appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you, Laura, and your incredible work and light in the world. I feel so much gratitude to be able to be in this orbit with you. I'm just
Mm.
so touched by this.
I wish I could come out and visit you every time I see your Instagram. Oh, what's your Instagram handle?
Oh, yes, it's Transcending Trauma with Yoga.
Okay, I'm putting it out in the front because it's so calming just to look at, and all the events around your new book, and just how beautiful the tables are laid out, and we're feeling, and that's, I think, the point is, a lot of times we're trying to help people to get out of talking about this stuff and into the feeling of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it means so much that you have affirmed just all that goes into the space, the intention of the spaces in which we hold people.
Yeah.
I think about that a lot, and I don't think I always talk about it, because as I'm preparing, whether it be for these book events or for trauma informed yoga classes I'm teaching or trainings I'm leading, this weekend I held a keynote at a conference in San Diego for an APA conference. And I started putting out these little vases of flowers and the affirmation cards, and the event organizers were like, this
Oh,
is
that's
amazing.
funny.
You've transformed this conference room. And but I do think the spaces in which we hold people, where someone can walk in and immediately their parasympathetic nervous system starts to get activated, and they feel, wow, this person has put so much love and intention into this space, and they feel that before you've even spoken a word.
Yeah.
Just really means a lot to me that you're reflecting that, because there is a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you just said some such important things right there about, changing our environment can change our nervous system regulation. So what's one thing that you can do? We'll just like start out immediately with like a little takeaway, right? It's like, can we dim the lights? Can we have like, I'm looking at, and those of you want to maybe tune in on YouTube, I know a lot of people listen, but you're wearing this beautiful centering shell, and like um tactile, like what, is there just like some beads, or like what are these small things? And then I hear the voice of some of my clients and students going, "Oh, another thing I have to do." Now, now you're telling me I have to think about my space. So like, how do you balance that? I know, right? This is the paradigm that we're like always, the paradox, like, um, is it just like, is the energy of doing it worth it? That's something that we just keep asking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And, I think it's when I think about creating a soft place to land or infusing a little more ease into the space, I also think about what it means for us to release the tight grip we have on just about everything in life.
Hmm.
I feel like so often as humans we have this tendency to constrict, in seasons when we're trying to control outcomes.
Mhm.
A lot of beauty and softness comes from being in a space of trust and surrender. And what's that beautiful quote? It's like, you can do it. It's something like, you can do it like it's hard, or you can do it like it's a great dance. Something, I'm not saying it correctly. It's Ram Dass, like, but it's
Yeah.
this idea that we can release the grip that we have. And I've just been thinking about what that looks like in my own life a lot in this
Yeah.
season that I'm in, because let me tell you, it can be hard to protect your energy when you have young children and you're on book tour and trying to run a consulting business. And I just feel like, first of all, we're all worthy of forgiving ourselves for all of the times that we've tried to heal our burnout with quick fixes
Mm, yeah.
instead of sustainable practices and values and boundaries, or even shifting the blame to the systems
Mm.
that make it challenging for healing professionals to thrive.
That there's a lot there.
There's so much there.
That will be the next hour. Just can you break that down a little? Like, what would be the difference between a quick fix, and maybe you can give an example, versus a more ingrained, like, change?
hmm I love this question. A quick fix would be something like, if I just take the vacation, or if I take one mental health day, or if I take this one nap, everything's going to be better. I'm going to be fully rested and able to take on all the things on my plate. Whereas, we have to look at the root cause of our burnout.
Mm,
And, it's been said that one of the reasons burnout is so sneaky is that we're constantly borrowing from tomorrow to get through today.
yeah.
So, you know what I mean, Laura?
You
Many,
already come into the next day depleted, so you're already coming in at a negative. I do
exactly.
know what you mean. Yeah.
I think many of us can relate to just constantly living in a chronic rest deficit. And so when we're looking at our values and our boundaries and what's sustainable, it's really looking at the scope of our lives and digging down deep to see what needs to change, where we can ask for more help, where we can have a more manageable workload, where we can recognize if we are the one who always holds the default nervous system in the room. For those of you who always feel the pressure to be regulated and resourced and resilient in your healing work as a therapist or as a yoga teacher or as a caregiver. I mean, so many of us hold that role in so many different dimensions of our lives.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that we talk nearly enough about the incredible strength and toll that takes.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that. Like, a lot of women that I work with, like, I think that's what you're talking about, like, tuned into everyone else's needs, energy. Um, like, is this going to upset this person? Like, a lot of focus on how others are feeling.
Yeah.
Um, before that inner check-in.
Exactly. It kind of reminds me of how when we are anticipating everyone else's needs, that costs us nervous system resources,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right. And I've been kind of inviting people to think about just their relationship with urgency lately,
Yeah.
because and I know we're probably gonna, I feel like I'm jumping around a lot, but there's so many threads, that are
Yeah.
related to our energy. And I think one of the biggest ones that I see is so much of healing our nervous system is unpacking our relationship to urgency.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go to the bathroom real quick. Or I gotta go to the market real quick. I'm gonna squeeze in this workout real quick. That becomes our inner language, and then we start to rush even when we don't have to rush.
I That's in your book, and that I, like, underlined, circled. I am so guilty, Zabby, I do it with my shower. I'm always like, "I'm gonna take a quick shower," and I keep catching myself. I can't say that I've stopped saying it. But I say it, but inside I go, "Wait a minute, like, do I need to be quick?"
Mhm.
Um, and another place I was actually just talking, to my supervisor about, like, just my energy and with my clients, and I'm really good at my morning routine. I'm really good at taking and generally good at taking care of myself.
Mhm.
But I notice that when I'm at the end of the day and, there's that guilt, gotta get home to my kids, my husband, and, like, I'm
Mhm.
not giving myself that minute to close,
Yes.
and, like, I feel like, why do I feel like a minute, 90 seconds to just close that? Like, they're fine. Every time I get home, they're fine. They're
Mhm.
fine.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
I love though the subtlety of what you're saying, right? Because so many people can relate to that transition at the end of the day where it feel it doesn't actually feel restorative. It feels more like collapse.
yeah.
Because we've given so much of ourselves away during the day, especially for
Mm,
those of you who work in healing professions, and you giving yourself that a moment to close that chapter in your day, or a buffer or a transition, even if it's spending 10 minutes in your car before you walk into your home, um, to remember yourself, to,
mm,
even just to put the phone away, to sit and breathe, to really create that restorative transition to walk in and be with your family into this next part of your day. I think it was so interesting when I was giving the keynote over the weekend. There were so many tears and, hugs, and just so much love and affirmation at the end of the talk. And what I realized is that I wasn't actually saying anything revolutionary. It was just these reminders of all the ways that we forget and abandon ourselves. You
well,
know,
it goes back to what you were saying about it's not necessarily what we're doing, but how we're doing it. And we can do the same actions. I mean, we can do the same amount of things on our plate. Of course, there's a certain element to the protecting your energy, which is like looking at your calendar. But I love how you say in the book about thinking about not time, but energy. Like, you said it, say it better.
yes, not
Not time management, but energy management.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Really getting into this habit of recognizing that our capability and our capacity are two different things.
Yeah. And so there's ways in which we can change the how of what we're doing and do the same thing, but somehow like the whole hold less.
Mm-hmm.
Like release. Maybe it's so much focus on outcome. Um, and I'm curious. I want what you found, and what you have to teach us on that. But as you say about your words, sometimes it's not the words, although you have fantastic words and a lot, especially your like your affirmations are so different from what I've ever heard. But it's also what you the tone where your nervous system is. So two people can say the same thing, but can we hear it, or how does it resonate?
Yes, that is such a powerful reflection, Laura, because you know it's a reminder too for healing professionals that tending to our own nervous systems with so much care is one of the most powerful tools we can model and mirror for all those that we hold space for. And I think we've been so programmed and conditioned to believe that our depletion is evidence of our love or of our care for others.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's not. We're all worthy of reclaiming the parts of ourselves that have gotten lost in service to others.
There is no question in my mind that I am the best teacher, mom, therapist when I've given that time to myself to be centered, open, and then things flow through instead of like trying to fix and fighting.
It's exactly that. I mean, that is gold, what you just said, because I think, for your listeners, if you all ever reflect on, do some of your best ideas come to you when you're taking a long bath or on a long walk with a beloved or with your dog or playing leisurely with your child on the ground or really lost in deep presence in a conversation with someone you care about? Like these are the moments where, oh my gosh, this thing that I've been stuck, that I haven't been able to break through on this idea or something I've been sitting with, suddenly you have a little more spaciousness for that clarity and wisdom to come through.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes this is kind of the wrong language, a little harsh, but like you can get people to do it, like to care for themselves, um, by explaining that they'll be better caregivers, because the ones who are so invested in doing a good job will do it. They'll take care of themselves if they can fully believe that it'll help them take care of others.
I know. I know.
And it goes to something you keep sorry, that you keeps coming up, but please give your other thought that you're about to go into if it's more relevant, or give both, about worthiness.
Mhm. Yes, what I was going to say is something that I talk about in the book and that I've just been noticing in the scope of my work is that as humans, we have this tendency to replicate the frenetic pace of our lives also in our self care. And now
Mm,
now the way that we care for ourselves is starting to become another overwhelming thing on our list. And so it's also just a reminder that what our nervous systems often actually need is less.
yeah,
I've been thinking about this too as it relates to the type of movement that we might choose for ourselves on any given day. Lara, both of us are trauma informed teachers and trainers, so I know that we think about this a lot. But also sometimes when we carve out the time on our schedule to exercise,
yeah,
a lot of pressure on ourselves, right? We have to sign up for the boot camp. We have to run the marathon. We have to do the heated vinyasa, really hard class. Whereas sometimes those workouts actually leave us feeling even more depleted of our energy. And so, what does it actually look like to instead really get a sense of the type of week you've had, where your body is at? Maybe you do have more capacity for a harder workout that day, but maybe what your body's actually asking for is a short walk around the block and legs up the wall pose.
yeah. I'm
Oh,
like, is she seeing? Is she looking into me?
looking into the depths of your soul.
I'm like, oh, I feel so naked right now. I have 30 minutes.
How can I make the most of this?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm,
I'm not, none of what I'm saying, am I doing any of this perfectly? Of course not. I mean, but I do feel like there are moments where I do go to the hard, heated vinyasa class, and then halfway through, I'm just like, I just lay there for the next 30
mhm,
minutes, and also giving yourself permission to opt out or opt in as needed. So much of this is, it's remembering too that these messages we're carrying with us off of the mat. You
Yeah.
know, embodied reminders that we have choice and we have agency and that we don't always have to power through, that that doesn't always have to be our default.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that comes very deeply from our trauma-informed work. I know I've gotten better at that at least, like, I will definitely stop in a class, and do something else that feels good for my body, even if the teacher hasn't cued that. I'm now where I've given myself that complete permission. I won't say complete because, of course, there'll be times where it's just there's a lot of pressure in that class, but I think even so, I mean, I'll just stop. I'll stop.
Yes, me
Yeah.
too. Me too. And that feels actually really revolutionary.
I
That
It does.
when you are looking around the room and everybody is keeps on going, or is, that you taking that moment to pause and be with yourself and honor your physical capacity in that moment, your emotional capacity, and laying there, that is so revolutionary to
Mm.
lean into that radical act of rest. It's just something I see the symbolism a lot between my practice and my life, and just this new shift into this new book. There's so many parallels.
Yeah. Do you wanna say a little more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just in this conversation we're having around energy and capacity, and also I think it was so natural for me to for this to be my next book, because I was having these conversations in my trauma informed yoga certification trainings, and I realized that this would be the favorite section of everybody in the training, the self care for the healer and the teacher,
Yeah.
because so many folks, healing professionals, yoga teachers, therapists, they come to the training thinking that they're there to help others heal. And certainly they're getting all of the tools and resources to do that, and frameworks. But then once they're there, so many of them at the end of day 3, they're in tears sharing, I thought I came here to help others, but this was actually for me.
Yeah.
I did this for me. And so it made sense for me then to spend a little more time talking about all the ways that we protect our energy so we can do our work in ways that are sustainable and ethical, and that it also doesn't have to be about adding more. Right? When I wrote the
Mhm.
book, I didn't want it to feel like another framework of things you need to do, but rather to kind of look at what I'm sharing, these very nurturing reminders and affirmations and tools, and kind of apply them to your life in the way that works. And so much of that is scaling back. It was actually really sweet. I was giving a training to a group of therapists at a college recently. It was virtual, and there was one therapist. He didn't say anything the whole session, and then at the very end he comes off of Zoom, and he goes, or off of Zoom, off of mute, and he goes, Zabi, thanks for reminding me that I don't need to check my email as the first thing that I do when I wake up. I'm gonna stop doing that shit.
Yes.
And again, it wasn't, he already knew that he didn't need to do that he didn't need to be responding to admin while he was still barely waking up out of his bed, that he could get into the office and have boundaries around his email and work time. But it was just something we find ourselves falling into these habits, thinking, why am I so depleted even before I've even fully woken up?
Mhm.
It's it was, just a really sweet moment of how subtle these shifts and changes can be and what they can look like.
Yeah, he finally heard it, or he could trust it coming from you and being in the container of that group.
Yes, exactly. Exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You spoke to, the quick fixes, and you spoke to the, kind of energy of the culture of self-care being this, more and more and things we have to do. Um, and how that's the opposite of what you're sharing and promoting in this book. Maybe we can talk to what are some of the more lasting, grounding practices, how to know what we need, boundaries. There's a lot I want to ask you about. What is like dinging for you in this moment?
Oh, there's so many things. I mean, I think to kind of wrap up that last thought, it's been said that in a single morning we absorb more news and images and information than our ancestors did in their entire lives. And so when we think about the pace in which our nervous systems are absorbing and carrying, I mean, we're just processing at a pace that we were never designed to. And in the book, when I talk about boundaries, I really talk about it from this embodied lens of honoring, the fullness of our mind, body, and spirit as it relates to the way that we assert and communicate our needs. Because, we can't cut ourselves off from the very real and visceral ways that our bodies are constantly communicating to us that more boundaries are needed. So
Mm,
that might be, that flesh feeling that you get on your face when somebody texts you who doesn't respect or honor your time, or the way that you get a stomach ache every day when you're working in a toxic work environment. The body's constantly signaling to us when more boundaries are needed. And um, I have these questions. I don't have them in front of me, but there's these questions in the book that I really invite people to lean into around honoring, the health of their nervous systems, the people that they surround themselves with, really surrounding yourselves with people who are good for your nervous system, and recognizing that our environments, again, have a significant impact on our nervous system. And there's a couple of questions that I invite people to ask themselves before they take on more.
mm,
And these are questions like, does the thought of doing this energize me or deplete me? If I say yes to this, what other things am I also saying yes to that could be taxing for my mind, body, and spirit, right, Laura? Never use the initial yes.
that's very important.
It's
Yes.
the one yes.
Well, and I want to, and this goes back to the urgency piece that you were talking about. Is that that feeling that I have to answer right now before I've thought this through,
Exactly.
right? Or like someone else's urgency that I take on, right? Just because someone else's nervous system is, racing, and I can, if I can remember to pause, then I have time to think about what is really being asked of me here.
Yes, exactly. We're so programmed to say yes immediately, to agree immediately, instead of taking that embodied check-in of our capacity before we take on more, to know that not everything in our life is an emergency. And I
Yeah.
think especially for people who have experienced trauma or who have spent so much time living in survival mode, it can be really hard to decipher the difference between safety and danger.
Yeah.
And for those of us who have lived in that prolonged state of hypervigilance, um, that can really complicate our relationship to rest.
Mm,
You know,
yeah.
and we're all just worthy of knowing with so much gentleness and care that we don't have to fill the space. We don't have to fill every moment of our day that it is safe to be in the stillness, and that does take so much time to get there.
Yeah.
That it's
Yeah, this
all to you.
oh my gosh. I mean, there's so much there. Like, I don't know
So
if you want to say more about what, that experience. Okay, you're asking me to be still, to have empty space in my day, and that feels like, well, what if I get passed over for that job? Or that feels like I could be doing something, and that illusion of that if I do this, I'll have more time later, which we know that never comes. I mean, that's a big mantra in my mind. I'm like, the time is now. Your life is now. Your life is not later.
yes.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me too, as I think about creating space for myself, that we also get to constantly redefine what success looks like for us. I talk about that in the book, especially as a daughter of immigrants, and I never saw my parents rest. I never saw them accepting help. It was so much of this mentality that we just have to keep going. And this is survival, and this is how we prove our worthiness to the outside world. Um, and gosh, I lost my train of thought about what I was saying before
Yeah,
that.
how to support people in maybe exploring more stillness, or a little vacuum in the day, a little space where that's
Exactly.
not filled.
Yes, yes, that we are worthy of resting before we are exhausted. That
Oh,
that I have been.
before we're exhausted. What? Now you're revolutionary. Well, I knew we
Conversation with you, by the way, because it's so real and it's so honest around. It's not just I'm here to share all these ticks, these tips and tricks. This is such an honest, vulnerable
Hmm,
conversation around what does this really look like, and that there's no finish line. We're
that part.
evolving.
Oh my gosh. That was one of the biggest lessons in my life that I've given myself. And once, for anyone who's working on that, once you take that away, I think it's really powerful. There's no finish line. And we're always reinventing and redefining, like, what is success in this season in my life,
Yes.
today, this moment.
Yes. 100%. And to know that we're worthy of celebrating ourselves right in the middle,
Right
right?
in the middle.
Right in the thick of our rebuilding process, whatever that looks like for you in this season of your life. You don't have to wait until there's some big announcement or there's a pretty bow wrapped up, or, that you're worthy right here, right in the middle of all of the self celebration and support.
Mm, that's so good. We do think, maybe we give ourselves that moment, like after we've accomplished something, or when we're already tired,
Mhm.
and I guess your really big and powerful message is um, resting along the way, um, re, um, what's the word? Just like recalibrating along the way, like caring, not waiting until the back is out, the stomach is a mess, you can't crawl out of bed.
Yes, exactly. And so many of us learn that message after we've been there, right? And that's
Sure.
okay too. That's part of the rebuilding of, wow, I don't want to live in this space anymore where I'm just, trying to get to the weekend after my work week, and then on my weekend I have nothing left to give, and then here we are operating from that chronic rest deficit. I mean, you have so much beautiful life to live, and to live it from this place of fullness and abundance instead of constantly being in depletion.
Mm.
To be awake in your own life, and aware of the preciousness of what's in front of you. Because as I think back to how we started with our conversation with thinking about the grip, sometimes I think about, gosh, how much of my life did I miss when I was like this?
Mm.
And that's where the self love and self forgiveness comes in. And there's this quote that I really love from Kimani Fambro, and she says, "My joy is never a coincidence. I do the work."
Oh, yeah. I'm just holding. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's so many layers in that for all of us to remember that our joy truly is a practice, to step
Yeah.
in the joy, the fun, to steward it, to be relentless about it, just like you are with anything else in your life, to protect it, you know?
Yeah. And even for some of us to get comfortable, like being silly and with joy, and a lot of us we're so conditioned to like only feel good when we're going and working when it's tough. And that's a beautiful thing when you work through something hard and you feel accomplishment, but it doesn't always have to be that same model.
Exactly. Exactly.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I've had questions for you, but like a little bit of a more maybe personal question, because before we started recording, we were talking about like all the good, and there's a lot of abundance like coming your way right now. Second book, second child, like conferences and trainings. And I think on like the kind of flip side of this, we have folks who feel like, well, like I'll jinx it if I turn it off. Like when it's going, I have to keep saying yes to keep it going as long as I can. Cause we never know when that feeling of like, oh, that fountain could turn off, right? How do
Mm-hmm.
you like deal with that?
Yes. Oh, I read the most beautiful quote the other day. It was something along the lines of, when life starts to get good again, that we can really trust that and allow it, and that we don't have to remain loyal to our suffering. And I think it kind of goes back to this idea that our trauma does not define us. We know that we share so much of that in our trauma informed work, and yet when you're actually living that out loud, and really trying to embody what that means, that my trauma does not define me. And I I think about just the season, while I was still writing the manuscript. I was going through an incredibly trying season of IVF. And, people still expected a lot from me, to be showing up with all of my capacity, and to be finishing my manuscript deadlines. And, I had to really model and practice everything that I was saying in the book. So that meant asking for extra deadlines. That meant asking for grace and support and understanding. It meant really being relentless about my boundaries and embodying
Mm.
that. And I think I'm a constant work in progress, for sure, because I do still feel that, in this season of, my daughter just turned 1, and my son is 8, and he's in his baseball era, and he's really good, and it's just so much fun watching him. And um in times where I have been feeling the onset of burnout, to really start to lean into the practices that I know to be true to for myself. And one of those that I hang on to with so much tenderness is that, when everything becomes too much, come back to the comforts that you know.
Hmm.
And so sometimes for me, that is literally reaching for my favorite coffee mug that I drink my coffee out of every morning. It's putting on the same cozy sweater, the one with all the holes in it that I don't even care because it just feels so good wrapped around my body. It is, the same yoga sequence that I do every single day when I get out of bed. There's something about knowing that it doesn't have to be these super revolutionary practices.
Yeah.
It's just remembering that we're worthy of no longer prioritizing ourselves last anymore.
It's such a strong message that I'm going to take away is like this idea of returning,
Yes. And
doing
remember,
what works, remembering. It's not about adding more.
yes.
Uh, it's about like maybe taking away,
Yes.
um, doing less repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because there's something about, predictability and that rings of the trauma informed work of like knowing what's going to happen. And that's very soothing for the nervous system.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. What about folks who feel like, if I stop, I'll never start again?
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard that one?
Yeah.
One or two times?
Every day I was just texting with my best friend who's a surgeon, and we're both like, work is drowning and our kids need us, and she was saying how, gosh, if I'm scared to stop because I'm afraid if I stop then the referrals will stop coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so much of it is trusting that the beauty of who you are and what you do, it's not going anywhere. That it is safe
Yeah.
to pause and rest and to constantly redefine what success looks like for you. I know success for me used to mean just constantly climbing the ladder. The next promotion when I worked within the university setting, that it meant always getting the next best position. And now success for me looks like having time with my kids in the morning, to be able to take them to school and schedule my first meeting a little bit later,
Hmm.
to have time to care for myself fully integrated into my day and not having it be an afterthought. That
Yeah.
kind of goes back to what we were saying in the beginning of how when we do pour into ourselves, the ripple impact of that is so profound. As Maya Angelou says, your energy introduces you before you even
Yep.
speak.
And you reminded me of something you talk about with Hudson, that you say something like you have all the time, or like I it's something that I'm actively working on, is not rushing my kid, which I can't say I'm great at. But I'm aware, and I'm um and that that's the parallel, right? It's like I was taught to rush. And so the more I work on my own stuff around that, that's going to just naturally shift how I'm in relationship with my daughter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it leads to these really beautiful generational healing moments and conversations, right? Because Laura, exactly like you, it was just, we were constantly rushed. I was in Arabic class. I played every sport. And I had a beautiful childhood. And yet I'm still unpacking all of these messages around perfectionism and urgency. And I
Yeah.
think you're talking about that moment in the book where I tell Hudson, sweetheart, your pace is perfect. And we need
That's
that too. We need to hear that too.
that's like so big for me. I that is yeah, that's just your pace is perfect. That's hard.
And
Yeah.
Laura, look, none of this work that we're talking about, we may be saying it in this very ethereal tone, but none of this is easy.
Yeah.
It is. And I think also for those of you who are listening to also recognize that even just your awareness of these moments in your life, that that's actually a powerful place to start,
Yeah.
because many of us are actually operating on autopilot where we're not even recognizing the urgency, or we've convinced ourselves that this is just the way that it is. Whereas when we can take those moments of, part of, radical and revolutionary work is allowing ourselves to be the ones who color outside of the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Know that we don't have to be within the school system. Many of our kids are, they get to school really early. They're doing work all day. They have such limited time for recess and play. They get in the car, they're eating their meals, they're going to sports,
Yeah.
and it's like we're all wondering why, as adults, we're unpacking all of these messages to urgency.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have to, we were conditioned, you
Yes.
know, and, and you see it as a parent,
Mhm.
and then this back and forth happens between like, well, I want my child to, to respect other people's time and have discipline and have work ethic. And I want them to like enjoy their childhood and not be so hard on themselves and relax. And
Yeah.
then like, then there's that more work of like, yes, the both and is there.
The both.
And I'm going to be on that journey of the both and there's no finish line to that either. Some days will call for more discipline and some days will call for let's just be late and sleep in. And that's what
Exactly.
we're working with.
See, and there's so much beauty in that, Laura. I mean, what you just said, it's giving ourselves, perfectionism is not the goal with this, with what we're talking about, right? It's the attunement, the awareness that, yeah, wow, maybe today was incredibly rushed. And you know what? Maybe tomorrow we're all taking a mental health day and we're just gonna enjoy being present together and seeing where the day takes us. That it's just
Mm.
constantly going to evolve and look different. But the fact that we're infusing it in ways that make sense for us is where I think a lot of the magic happens.
Oh, I love that. Make it your own.
Yeah.
And you offer, I said it before, I mean, you have, I think, the best cues, the best reflection questions, the best, and many. Not many to be overwhelmed, like many to like which one like rings true for you? Like which one do you want to work with? I mean, you can work with this book, Protect Your Energy. Like, look at all my again, folks. You might want to just go on your YouTube. Maybe I'll post that. There are a lot of sticky notes, because there were so many things. Yeah, there's just so many things in here that I want to go back to, and cues and journal reflections for myself. Um, I wanted to ask you, like, for sure, if we could do some kind of exercise from the book. I don't know if there's one that's ringing out to you, but there was something. There were a few that really touched me.
Oh, yeah, of course. Do you want me to lead one?
Would that be okay?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
I know which one.
because you've been reading my mind the whole time.
I'm gonna lean into this and just trust that this is where we're at today. So this is a practice called compassionate face cradle. And I want to just invite you to gently rest your right cheek into your right palm. You can hug your left arm in if it's comfortable, or maybe allow it to drape by your side. And can you just start to trust the rhythm and cadence of your breath? You can keep your eyes open or closed, or find a soft gaze on something in front of you. And the invitation here is to practice more generosity with yourself. So maybe that means melting a little bit deeper into your right palm with each exhale breath. You might even invite a gentle sway side to side if that feels comfortable for you. And when you feel ready and trust your pace, you can switch sides, bringing your left cheek to your left palm, maybe hugging the right arm in, and honoring your inhales and your exhales. Perhaps melting a little bit deeper into your left palm with each exhale breath. Can you give yourself the same compassion that you so freely give to others? You might come into that soft sway on this side, moving as fast or as slow as your body needs. And when it feels right, and you'll know, you might gently rub your palms together, creating a little bit of warmth. And the invitation is to rest the palms over any parts of the body that feel exhausted, depleted, worn out. Where do you feel that showing up in your body today? Can you really listen and respond in ways that feel kind and compassionate to you? And when you're ready, if you'd like, you can meet me with your palms together at the center of your heart, or find any other gesture that's calling you here. Hands at your heart, may we live our lives compassionately. Hands at your mouth, may we speak words of truth and of kindness. And hands at your third eye center, the light in me always honors the light in you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Laura, for
Zabie.
having me.
Oh my gosh, that felt so good. Do you have audio recordings? You
Yes,
do.
actually. So in the book, there's a link to the Sounds True website where you can listen to all the practices in audio form. And then there's the
Yeah.
audio book as well. But if you purchase the book, you can access all those audios of the meditations and the
Oh,
practices.
that's great. So there's something about listening to you lead it and your voice. That's
Thank
just
you.
nice, like even taking the job of doing it for myself off.
Yes, it felt so beautiful to just lead you through that. And it felt like just the perfect bookend to the conversation. It was so wild. I felt like you asked me and I immediately knew what practice I wanted to do. Like it was just felt
Mm.
very
And that's not really
intuitive.
something that I've done, the cradling. It's not sort of something you would really you see that often, or you would just like, hand on the heart, okay, but that and it's powerful. I feel very relaxed, as you could probably my voice is trailing
I love it.
as I fall asleep on the podcast. Sabi, what is there anything I neglected to ask you that you want to just impart on the audience today?
No, I feel like that was just such a beautiful, just authentic conversation about what this looks like in real time. And I'm just so, so grateful for
Hmm.
this opportunity to be with you all these years later, and all the ways that we have evolved in our work and as mothers and kindred souls and spirits. So just feeling really full of gratitude. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, same. I'm really envisioning a time where we're present, like in person with each other, and I see that in the future. I want to send people to you. The book is called Protect Your Energy. Where are the places people can find you, your book, your workshops, your trainings?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for your support. My website is zabieyamasaki.com. And then Instagram is Transcending Trauma with Yoga. On the website, you'll find all my upcoming trauma informed yoga certification trainings, our book events. We've got a couple more book tour events for those of you who are local to Los Angeles. And yes, just consultation for universities, for individuals. There's so much on the website that you'll find, and our online courses. So just look forward to connecting with you all. And thank you so much for your support, Laura, of the book and my work and beyond.
Well, it's easy to support you, and I know that a lot of listeners are going to be very, very happy for this resource. So thank you so much.
Thank you.